Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for joining me today. Today I have a project for the Not Too Shabby shop using the Paperie Ink Dog Days stamp set. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a clean and simple card today. So I'm doing a little bit of masking for this card, and then on the 29th, I believe, I'll be over on the Not Too Shabby channel doing a different card, kind of a similar clean and simple card, doing a little bit of a different masking technique. So I hope you will check that out. So I started out choosing the stamps that I'm going to use. So I'm using this puppy dog and the fire hydrant, and I went ahead and I stamped up the puppy dog on my cardstock. I stamped him first because I want him to be in the front. So if you are masking off and the image you want in the front is the one you want to stamp first. And so I went ahead and I stamped him again on a piece of masking paper. Originally, I just cut out at the edge where I was going to be adding that fire hydrant, and then I realized I had to do my background, so I do end up cutting that mask fully out. And then I'm going to place my fire hydrant, so I'll go ahead and stamp that. And I am using Momento Black ink. I am not doing a lot of coloring on this card, but I am using some alcohol markers for the parts that I do color, and so that is why I am using the Memento. So I went ahead and I stamped up my fire hydrant, and then I'm going to take another piece of masking paper and stamp that up again so that I can fussy cut. And when I when I fussy cut images that I want to use as masks, I always make sure that I am cutting on the line. I don't want any white space around that, just to make sure that the whatever I'm covering over the mask doesn't have that white line as well. So I went ahead and I placed both masks on my cardstock, and I'm using some hammer mill cardstock. Currently it's at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I do go ahead and use a die to cut that down. And then I'm going to add kind of my little scene here. So I'm using Lime Rickey and Garden Party. So I've just added another kind of mask across the top portion of the card, and I'm going to go ahead and add the bottom inking. So I'm just basically adding the grass for this. And so I started out with the Lime Rickey, and then I went in with a lighter color, the Garden Party, and then I'll take that strip off and reposition it so that it is on the grass area, so that I can then go ahead and do the clouds. And then I had paused my video to pick out my inks, and I forgot to turn it back on, but I did go ahead and use this honeybee cloud stencil and alternated the It's a Boy and Stone Blue from Catherine Pooler. This is my favorite cloud stencil. I really love the variety of shapes that it has. So go ahead and remove that, and then I will remove the masks that are over my cute little image. And I really liked how this looked, just kind of black and white, and so I did not do much with the coloring. I took some grays, some Copic grays, and colored up the bone that's in his mouth, and then I took some reds and just colored those 3 little stripes in the middle of that fire hydrant, and that's all the color I'm going to do for this card. And then just to add a little more interest to the card, I went ahead and I used a wonky stitch die to cut this out. So I'll have the smaller panel and then kind of the frame around that. But first I'm going to go ahead and stamp up my sentiment, and for that I'm using my VersaFine Black just because it is my favorite ink for sentiments and details. And so I went ahead and I stamped that up. Then I'm going to add the frame to my card panel. So I'm adding a little bit of liquid glue around the frame. And then I'm just going to place that a little bit off center. And then I will trim around the sides. And since there is a little bit of a difference in the depth between the center panel and that frame, since I have that kind of offset, I didn't want there to be like a dip in the paper. It's very slight, but I didn't want there to be that dip. So I went ahead and I grabbed another piece of paper. I'm just using that to add a little bit of height without adding any foam. I did not have any foam that was that thin, and I did not want to pop that up too much. And so that little piece of paper just adds just the right amount of height so that the paper doesn't sink into that middle frame part. Then I'll go ahead and add my adhesive to the back of that, and then adhere that to my card. And then to finish the card off, I'm adding a few little glue dots, and I'm going to add these cute little paw prints, which is a confetti mix from a company called This Calls for Confetti. And the one that I'm using is Rainbow Bridge. It's really pretty. It's got multiple colored paw prints and then some kind of little silver pieces as well. And that'll do it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did like this video or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Don't forget, I'll be doing a kind of a different masking technique, one layer clean and simple card on the Not Too Shabby channel on the 29th. So I hope you join me for that over on the Not Too Shabby channel. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.